The morning after the worst night of my club life. I woke up, picked up a knife, and cut my vest. Not the patches. The vest itself. I want you to think about that for a second. I was angry. I hadn't slept. My mind had been running the same question over and over for hours, and yet, even in that moment, I couldn't bring myself to damage the patches because of what they meant, because of what it took to earn them. I cut around them, carefully. Twice I slipped and cut wrong, but the patches came off clean, every single one. I folded them, drove to my president's house, handed them to him personally. No speech, no argument, no drama. Then I went home, opened every group chat. We had multiple chapters across the country, and I wrote a message thanking them, apologizing if I'd ever wronged anyone, saying goodbye. Then I left every group, one by one. That was the end of 3 to 4 years inside a 1%er motorcycle club. Years that took me from support, the absolute bottom, the guy nobody even calls by name, all the way to secretary on the board. This is what that journey actually looks like, from the inside. The first thing you need to understand about entering this world is this. You are nobody, and I don't mean that as a figure of speech. I mean you literally do not exist. In this country, where I was, the entry level is called support. You're not even a hangaround yet. There's no title, no role, no acknowledgement. You show up, you stand there, and the men around you, tattooed, intimidating, serious men, don't look at you. Not because they're rude, because you haven't earned the right to be seen yet. I remember walking into that environment for the first time and feeling genuinely strange, out of place in a way I'd never felt before, like I'd walked into a room where everyone spoke a language I didn't know, and nobody was going to teach me. That's by design. They're watching you from the moment you walk in, every reaction, every moment of discomfort, every time you don't know what to do with your hands. Eventually, if you last, you become a hangaround, and your responsibilities change. You guard the door at parties, you watch the motorcycles, you make sure nobody touches what isn't theirs. It sounds insignificant, and in some ways it is, but that's not the point. The point is that you show up, every time, without complaining, without asking what you get in return. That's what they're watching for. Support, hang around, prospect, full patch. Each level takes time. Each level costs something you don't get back, and you do all of it. The invisible work, the thankless nights, the tests you don't even know you're taking, because somewhere underneath all of it, you believe in what this is supposed to be. There's a moment early on when you realize this world operates by completely different rules than anything you've known. For me, that moment came fast. I won't go into specifics, and if you know anything about this life, you'll understand why. But I will tell you this, from prospects to president, everyone in that room was armed. Every single person. That's the moment it stops being a lifestyle. That's the moment you understand, really understand, what kind of world you're trying to enter. And here's what nobody on the outside gets. That doesn't make you want to leave. It makes you want to prove you belong. Because by that point, you've already started believing in what they told you this was. Brotherhood, loyalty, a code that actually means something, a world with its own rules, and men who take those rules seriously. And parts of it were real. I want to be honest about that, because it would be easy to sit here and tell you it was all dark from the beginning. It wasn't. There was an evening, I think about it sometimes even now. It was a season opener party. One of our chapters was on probation at the time, proving themselves, and this was their event. There was a rock band playing. Multiple clubs had shown up, not just our chapters, but other clubs too. The kind of gathering that doesn't happen often. The grill was going, the drinks were cold, and there was this energy in the air that I can only describe as alive. I remember standing there, looking around at all of it. The bikes lined up outside, the patches on everyone's backs, the noise and the smoke and the music, and something settled inside me. I belong here, not performing, not proving anything, not watching my reactions, just there, part of something. That feeling is real, and it's powerful. It's the feeling that makes every cold night standing guard worth it, every meeting that runs too long, every sacrifice you made to get to that room. And it's also, I say this now with the distance of time, exactly what makes this life so dangerous. Because once you've felt that belonging, you'll do almost anything to keep it. The day I became a full patch member, I was outside. Prospects don't attend church meetings. You wait. You stand by the grill or you sit outside, and you wait for whatever decision gets made about you inside. That particular meeting, I was called in. I walked into the room and one of them looked at me and said, with a completely straight face, "You haven't been involved enough. This isn't working. Take your prospect patch off." My stomach dropped, and then, before I could process what was happening, he held something out. "Put this one on instead." A full patch. I don't have the words for what that moment felt like. After everything it took to get there, all the invisible work, all the nights, all the tests, it was delivered like a joke. And maybe that was the point. Maybe the joke was part of it. But standing there with that patch in my hands, that was real. That was the moment I stopped being nobody. Eventually, I became secretary, which sounds administrative, and in many ways it was. I took notes at every meeting, sent the minutes afterwards, kept communication open between chapters, new members, new prospects, changes in leadership, upcoming events, a kind of internal PR if you want to call it that. But being on the board means something beyond the administrative role. It means you're in the room when the real decisions get made. And that's when I stopped seeing the front stage. The brotherhood is real at the bottom. Among the members who are just living this life day to day, it's genuine. But at the top, the machinery is different. I watched decisions get made that had nothing to do with the code we'd all sworn to. Decisions that affected real people, real lives, based on the interests of 2 or 3 men at the top. Not financial interests only. Other interests, the kind that don't get discussed openly. And I watched the members go along with it. Not because they agreed, because they were afraid. I know they were afraid, because some of them told me so afterwards. When it was already too late, it came to a head at a monthly church meeting. A sanction was proposed against me. Patch and box, which means your patch gets taken, you're suspended, you effectively disappear for a period of time. There was no real justification, no violation of the code, no incident, no legitimate reason that anyone in that room could have pointed to honestly. But the president wanted it, the sergeant wanted it, and so every hand went up, every single vote, against me. I sat there and watched men I had called brothers, men I had stood next to, worked alongside, kept secrets for, vote against something they didn't believe in, because they didn't want to upset the wrong person. I know they didn't believe it, because afterwards, one by one, some of them found me privately. I didn't agree, but what could I do? I drove home that night with my vest still on. I didn't sleep. My mind kept running the same loop. Is this the right decision? Am I about to throw away something real? Or am I finally seeing it for what it is? By morning, I had my answer. I got up, found a knife, and I cut my vest, not the patches. I've already told you, I couldn't do that. I cut the fabric itself, around every patch. Twice I slipped, but every patch came off clean. I folded them carefully, the same way you'd fold something that mattered, because it did. Drove to my president's house, handed them to him personally, then went home, wrote my message to the chapters, said what I needed to say, and left. What came next is something I didn't fully understand until I lived it. No contact. In this world, that's not just a rule. It's an erasure. Overnight, you die for them. Men you'd shared everything with. Roads, meals, secrets, years. Gone. No phone call, no conversation, no closure. If they see you in the street, you don't exist. The first time I rode without my cut, no colors, no patch, just me and the road, I felt naked. Not as a metaphor, physically naked, like something that had become part of my body had been removed. Because the patch isn't leather, it's not thread and embroidery. It's every night you stood outside in the cold proving yourself, every meeting, every sacrifice, every moment you chose this life over something else. Taking it off doesn't erase any of that. It just leaves you alone with it. People ask me if I have regrets. Honest answer? It's complicated. I miss the vest, the runs, the parties, the men who actually showed up for me. Not all of them did, but some of them did. I carry both of those things. I lived this life, the real version, not the TV version. And over the next videos, I'm going to tell you everything. If you want the truth, subscribe.